The second severe weather season is upon us as we had severe weather yesterday across much of the central plains. We actually had storm reports with one tornado reported in northwestern Kansas, 15 wind reports, 22 hail reports for a total of 38 severe weather reports, mainly across southern Nebraska into northwest Kansas from your Thursday, September 21st. And as we move ahead to today, we have a potent storm system moving off of the Rockies and into the central plains. And this is going to spark more severe weather today across the high plains here, across portions of the South Dakota region, into Nebraska, and even parts of Kansas and western Iowa. And then as we move into Saturday, this system starts to mature across the northern plains, and we have a pretty decent looking mid level jet streak across the middle of the country. This will aid into the severe weather threat and make it more widespread with a cold front that extends along the low pressure system as we go into Saturday, and then it starts to weaken out on Sunday. But a secondary low pressure system will develop across the southern plains, which will help with severe weather as we go into North Texas and southern Oklahoma as we head into Sunday. If you like detailed weather breakdowns on North America, including southern Canada, the United States, and the tropics, be sure to hit the subscribe button down below. Also, very helpful to press the like button, the thumbs up button down below the video. Also, share this video on social media, whether it's on Instagram, Twitter, or on Facebook, etc. I do appreciate it and it helps to get the word out as well. Looking at the severe weather threat for today, we have a slight risk up and around the Rapid City, South Dakota region into eastern portions there of Wyoming and northwest Nebraska, with a larger marginal risk surrounding that across the Aberdeen region, Sioux Falls down there toward North Platte again, the Hastings region, and even into Omaha, Nebraska, and even parts of western Iowa, even southwestern Minnesota included in that marginal risk. This is a level 1 in the dark green area and a level 2 out of 5 there in the yellow shaded color on the scale for today's severe weather threat. The main risk of severe weather will be for very large hail. When you see this yellow dashed lines here around the Rapid City region, that's where we are going to be seeing the potential for 2-inch or larger diameter hailstones later on today. That's hen egg size or larger, and a couple of tornadoes cannot be ruled out near Rapid City, getting into northwestern Nebraska here and into eastern Wyoming today as well. So this will be something to keep an eye on. So timing this out here for you this morning, we have some general garden variety type thunderstorms from Kansas City, Wichita, all the way down here toward the Tulsa region and into portions of the Texarkana area, Fort Smith, Arkansas, you name it, across portions of the mid-Missouri Valley. Our main area of focus is back here into Wyoming, southwestern South Dakota, into northwest Nebraska this morning. And then as we extend into the afternoon, peak daytime heating, we're going to be watching these individual supercells developing near the track of that low pressure system where we have the rotation in the upper levels of the atmosphere. And that's where we're going to see more of those supercells developing. Very large hail, some tornadoes, and even some damaging wind gusts in excess of 60 miles per hour will be possible. Then as we go into tonight, overnight tonight, after midnight even, we're seeing storms rumbling across portions of Wyoming there, western Nebraska, and into western South Dakota as well. Some thunderstorms across portions of Wisconsin, Minnesota there into eastern Iowa. Those should stay sub-severe tonight, but offering up the potential for some heavier rainfall, maybe some small hail, some 40-mile-per-hour wind gusts possible with this activity near La Crosse, down there toward the Dubuque region, and even Prairie du Chien as we go in towards tonight here across the Midwest. Then extending into Saturday, a much more elongated area of severe weather. This is along a cold front as we have that maturing cyclone up here across the northern plains. We have that slight risk all the way up into portions of central Minnesota, extending all the way down into southern Oklahoma. So a large area in real estate with the severe weather potential on Saturday. And zooming it in for the areas with the highest potential impacts in the yellow shaded color, we're talking about you there in Sioux Falls, Des Moines, Omaha, all the way down into Topeka, Wichita, Kansas City, the Tulsa region, and even as far south as the Oklahoma City Metroplex as well, and even Springfield, Missouri. You guys are on the edge of that slight risk for Saturday. And yes, we are talking about the threat for tornadoes all the way up into Minnesota, portions of eastern South Dakota, Iowa, getting down through Missouri, eastern Kansas, and Oklahoma, and even parts of northwestern Arkansas as well, included in that for Saturday. And here's the highlight. The highest coverage of severe thunderstorms will likely be Saturday evening. So as this cold front moves further to the east, we got that comma head shape with that maturing low pressure system with a cold front across the Midwest into the mid-Missouri Valley, extending down into the southern plains. These storms will be feisty at times. Not every single one of them will be severe, but a scattered severe weather events will be possible. Damaging winds over 60 miles per hour, quarter-size hail or larger, and a few tornadoes will be possible from Minnesota all the way into portions of southern Oklahoma. Then as we go into Sunday, it just doesn't stop. The second severe weather season keeps rumbling on. We have a new low pressure system that will be developing out here across the southern plains near the Red River and into Oklahoma. And just to the south of that, we're going to be seeing the instability build with another slight risk of severe weather for North Texas. This includes the Dallas-Fort Worth area, getting up into Paris, Texas here, getting up toward Texarkana, and even the Ardmore region there into southeastern Oklahoma on Sunday. This is on September 24th. We'll be watching for more discrete supercells, very large hail, damaging winds, and a few tornadoes here as well. And you can see the discrete supercells shown on the model here for Sunday afternoon into Sunday evening. That will be the peak daytime heating. That's where we're going to start to see those big thunderstorms erupt here with the hailstones, with the damaging winds, and the potential for tornadoes. Up and around the Dallas-Fort Worth area, Ardmore over to Paris, and then even to Texarkana as well. And even some of this could extend into southern Arkansas. So watching this out here in southern Arkansas as well for the potential of some strong thunderstorms for Sunday. Overall, the total rainfall accumulation now through Monday to start the work week there. You can see the heaviest of the rains will be across the middle of the country here, across the Dakotas into Minnesota, down through Iowa there, Missouri, eastern Kansas, eastern Oklahoma into portions of Arkansas. In the purple and pinks there, that's where we're at least talking 1 to 2 inches, if not in excess of 2 inches worth of rain, with the heaviest rains down here into southwestern Missouri and up into the central Dakotas through the weekend. And this could be causing some flash flooding concerns. So Saturday into Sunday, there's a large area of real estate with a slight risk for flash flooding from the Dakotas down through Minnesota, Iowa, Missouri, and into the southern plains as well. So we'll have to keep an eye on that as we go through the weekend. Turn around, don't drown, especially if you see those flooded roadways out there. Looking at the overall temperature trends through this weekend, you can see today we have the warmer temperature anomalies above average across the areas east of the Rockies, where we have the cooler than average temperatures to the west, where we have that trough coming in today, and we have more average conditions extending into Sunday here. As that cold front comes through, we'll have some cooler fall type temperatures on the backside of that across the Great Plains once that comes through on Sunday. Well, that'll knock the temperature averages down here a little bit as we go into later this weekend. And overall, through the long term, this takes us through the final couple of days of September, September 29th, through the opening week there of October through October 5th. We do see that pattern persist with above average temperatures east of the Rockies. The eastern two-thirds of the country will be above average, and the western third across portions there of the West Coast and the Pacific Northwest will be below average as we get into the first full week there into October. And it will be very active as well. So it's been dry across the Pacific Northwest and the West Coast. We'll begin to see more active weather as we turn into early October there across portions of Washington, getting into Oregon, Northern California, Northern Nevada, and then extending eastward through Idaho, Montana, the Dakotas again, and into Minnesota and much of the upper Midwestern regions. And some of that precipitation could be further south as well into Kansas, Oklahoma, and Texas, with more of the below average precip and drier conditions favored for New England, the Great Lakes, and down into the southeast as we go into the first few days of October. And looking at that here from a visual standpoint for the last week here into September and early October, you can see we're going to continue to see more of the troughs coming in across the Pacific Northwest with ridging downstream. That will encourage the warmer temperatures and building heights across the eastern two-thirds of the country. And we'll see lowering heights, and we'll also be seeing some cooler weather across the western third of the country here as well. And you can clearly see where the total precipitation will be adding up here across the Pacific Northwest, up here even into British Columbia. We could be seeing some heavier rains as well, where the rest of the country is near average or even below average, especially up here into Quebec and Ontario, Canada. Going to be a lot drier into the last week of September. That extends down into the Great Lakes and even down into the southeast and Ohio Valley as well. Looking here at the tropics, we are seeing things remain active here across the North Atlantic. We are keeping an eye here on Tropical Cyclone 16 that is across portions of the southeast coast, and another area of interest that we'll talk about in the main development region as we'll look into early October there. The tropical storm force winds. This is what that orange blob does show. That is the big shield of tropical storm force winds here. We do have tropical storm warnings across the East Coast extending from the Delmarva region all the way down through coastal Virginia and coastal North Carolina down toward the Wilmington region. That's where we're likely to see tropical storm impacts into this weekend. Here's the cone of uncertainty. It's going to make landfall as a tropical storm, a stronger tropical storm at that, across North Carolina into Virginia as we go into Saturday into Sunday, and then maintaining more of that tropical depression status as we get up into the Delmarva region, but producing a lot of heavy rain along the way. And you can see as we go through today, some of those heavier rain bands will be pushing into the eastern side there of the coastline of North Carolina up into Virginia there. Then as we go into Saturday, that low pressure system makes landfall there into North Carolina as a tropical storm, and we'll be seeing those heavier rains from not only the coastal New England region, but also down here to the mid-Atlantic, with the heaviest rains across central Virginia there, getting up into Maryland and even portions of Pennsylvania on Saturday. And then we'll start to see that wind down as we go into Sunday, but lingering showers and thunderstorms will be possible across New York State, down into Pennsylvania, the New Jersey region, Long Island, New York City, you name it, across the Northeast as we go into Sunday. Some of the impacts expected from this storm. This is your peak storm surge forecast here from the National Hurricane Center. Up to 5-foot storm surge from the lower Chesapeake Bay. That could be up to 5 feet there, all the way down here into portions of eastern North Carolina. And then as you extend down here toward the Wilmington region and even down to Myrtle Beach into South Carolina, we could be seeing up to 3-foot storm surge there. And that could actually take us further north as well into coastal New Jersey and coastal Delaware and Maryland as well, with those 3-foot storm surge right along the coast. So that will be something to keep an eye on there. And then on top of that, the inland flooding threat. We have lots of heavy rain coming in here with this storm, lots of moisture off the Atlantic. So this is going to cause some widespread heavy rain across portions of eastern and central North Carolina, up into Virginia, Maryland, Delaware, and across coastal New England. Widespread 1 to 3 inch rainfall amounts, with the heaviest rains expected from Maryland, Delaware, all the way down into eastern Virginia and eastern North Carolina, where we could easily see areas approaching 8 inches of rain locally as we go through that Monday morning commute there. That's why we're concerned. We have a flash flooding threat there now all the way into Saturday morning, mainly in these yellow shaded colors from New Jersey all the way down into Delaware, Maryland, getting into the eastern side there of Virginia and North Carolina. And then that starts to migrate a little bit further off to the north Saturday into Sunday, including more of Long Island here, up into the Hartford region and getting into Rhode Island, and even Cape Cod could be in on the action with the flash flooding threat as we go Saturday into Sunday. Then the next area of interest has an 80% chance of development over the next few days as that open tropical wave starts to gain intensity and move across the main development region as we go through the next few days. So tracking it here as we go into tomorrow on Saturday, September 23rd. This is the icon model. We're starting to see lowering of the pressures here across the main development region. This is a weaker storm at first, so this is going to move further to the west. Remember, weaker low-pressure systems tend to move more west. Stronger low-pressure systems start to curve up and be more fish storms across the North Atlantic. So it's still a weaker system, likely a tropical depression probably at this point as we go into Monday, maybe a low-end tropical storm as it approaches the Leeward Islands. Then notice, by the middle of next week on Wednesday, September 27th, this starts to strengthen very quickly. Rapid intensification down down to a 977 millibar low there, and it starts to turn more northwest and possibly away from the Leeward Islands, but I do think it's close enough to where we start to see rip current risks, some rough surf out there, and possibly some of these outer bands getting very close by the middle of next week. And then as we go into Friday, this consensus does continue with a 964 millibar low to the north and east of Puerto Rico and the Leeward Islands here. But again, this is a fish storm likely as we go into next Friday, a week from today, with possibly another storm on its heels. So a couple of tropical systems to watch as we go into next week, that is for sure. And extending into next weekend, we like to look at the ensemble guidance when you're beyond 7 days out. The center of low pressure could be anywhere across the open waters of the North Atlantic and just to the north of Puerto Rico during this time and approaching the Bermuda region. So this will be something to watch as we get in towards next weekend. And we'll keep you updated right here on Weather on the Go. If you haven't seen my winter forecast for 2023 or 24, make sure to hit the description down below this video and watch that winter weather forecast video. Lots of great information on what to expect this upcoming winter. Make sure to leave any comments, questions, and concerns on that video, and also like it as well by giving it a thumbs up. I do appreciate it. Like this video as well. Give this video a thumbs up if you like today's weather forecast. Share this video on social media, whether it's on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, etc. I do appreciate that as well. And also, and I hope everybody has a great rest of their Friday out there.